Hi, I'm Jim Mahoney, Executive Director of Battelle for Kids. This is our 15th year in operation as a national not-for-profit whose sole mission has been to empower teachers, develop leaders, and improve school systems. I can't help but remember when I began my teaching career a long time ago that whatever subject area or whatever grade level you teach, you get kids who are at different levels, have different interests, different parental expectations, all those things. But your goal is to move those kids forward. One tool for doing that is value added. In 2009, we began with a group of high school teachers and high school administrators who agreed to give end-of-course exams and to get reports back by teachers and by the building level. They used this information to make decisions about what was working, what wasn't working. Take information and have discussions about it and ask, how can we better serve our kids? Is this telling us something that we didn't know? How might we combine this with other measures? We know that progress combined with achievement are two very powerful metrics to begin thinking of our impact on kids. One of the other things that we've learned about value added is the story of people who use this are the most compelling ones.
It's probably been 5 or 6 years ago that we first started with value added. We administered the ACT end of course exams, which generated value added reports for our high school teachers. It was totally new for high school teachers. They had a general idea of what value added meant, but they didn't really have concrete knowledge of what that looked like. So there was a lot of discussion and a lot of education that had to happen. So the first year was difficult. The scores were not good. We had a lot of red. And I think part of it was just aligning curriculum and really understanding what we were assessing. So it was difficult on two fronts, just because they weren't real sure what value added was. And then when they received the data, since it was poor, that added to the challenge. I think the biggest thing is we had to show how this was beneficial to students, because with high school teachers, they really have to understand the purpose behind it. And if they don't really see a benefit to kids, then they really don't buy in.
The staff needs time now to upload that information. Now you have some teachers that want to have that conversation 14 seconds after they got their data, and you have some that want to have it 14 days after that because they either need time to soak it in, they need time to process, maybe it wasn't what they expected, so they just need to, they need that reflection time. You know, reflection is where the learning takes place in this.
Through your value added, you're able to find out your strengths and weaknesses as a teacher. And in return, if you're willing to work and better yourself as a teacher, you know that's only going to get better.
We really looked at the standards, and we looked at our pacing and how we were teaching. So it wasn't just talking about value added, it was talking about how we were instructing and how we could improve. And then when those reports came out, it wasn't a matter of, here's your report, now go forth and do whatever you want with it. I would sit down with each individual teacher. We would look at the report, and we would talk about what each part of that report meant. And we would look at the areas where they were low, not to accuse, but to say, okay, you know, obviously this is a skill that we're not getting. What can we do to help that, not just in your classroom, but across our entire building? And then we looked at what we were doing well. I think that's really important because you want to celebrate that. And then we just talked about how can we use this information to help our students.
You know, got reports in front of staff members. This is what it's going to show you. This is what this projection means, that if the student's above or below. These are what the different quintiles mean and how those are calculated. So in terms of all the vocabulary and the knowledge base of things, I thought we were very prepared. A mistake that we made the first time was we had everybody in the same room and we gave them all their value-added reports, all sitting right next to each other. I would highly recommend that a high school not do that, although the interesting thing now is in our high school, after doing this 5 or 6 years, most of the departments want to see it together now. They've evolved to that point where they're not protective of it. They don't mind sharing it with each other just so they can improve. We would give them some reflection questions. What's the data tell you? What trends do you see? How does it compare to last year? And just try to get them to dig a little bit deeper and go through that process of what students am I reaching? What students maybe do I need to improve with? How am I reaching these students and how am I not reaching this particular group of students?
I start to look for trends and patterns in the kinds of students. So not only in the middle, high, and low group that is reported, but what kind of kid normally makes up that low group? What kind of kid normally makes up the middle group?
Now I feel like we're using data in real time and we're using it to change what we're doing. We have teacher-based teams. We're giving common assessments so that we can really look building-wide, department-wide at what we're teaching and how we're doing, and then use that information to drive our instruction. It takes a team effort. It has to be everyone saying, these are our kids, how are we going to move them forward?
Become an expert as much as you can. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and get those key people that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, I don't know what this, and this means. Can you help me out, please? And identify 2 or 3 key people, at least in your building, that can articulate most of the answers that you would be able to as well, because you can't be everywhere all the time in your building to answer all those questions.
It's important to be respectful of people's feelings and fears and really just listen and assure people that it will be fine.
You know, all in all, it's just, I think it's about using your value-added data and taking it in stride. This is where I'm at. What can I do to get better? And if you're open and willing to do that, then it's well worth it.
That's the other piece of this is you can always find a nugget of success in there. Every teacher reaches some student. Every teacher has room for an improvement.
The more data you have, the more reflective you can be, and you can't be better if you're not reflective upon your past practice.
The whole use of value-added data is so that we get better as a school, we get better as an individual teacher, and that our kids learn and grow.
Our hope is that these videos have been instructional and useful for you in your journey with value added. Can we measure learning perfectly? No. But should we and can we do it in ways that are reliable to give us information about our kids? Absolutely. And if you really want to improve a goal, you need to measure it. Thanks again for your participation in this video series. We hope that it's been incredibly useful to you. More importantly is what you do with it. And on behalf of Battelle for Kids and the Ohio Department of Education, thank you for using these. And more importantly, thank you for what you do for kids every day of the week.